All right, Pats. 2022, last year made the playoffs, right? After the first year without Brady, they lost Brady. A lot of guys opted out. I think they were one of the most surprising teams last year. You see the record at the bottom, 10-7. 5-1 to win the AFC East, 25-1 to win the AFC. Long shot here to win the Super Bowl. Their win total is at 8.5. Tyler, let's keep it going and just transition into some of their fantasy football targets. This is from NFFC leagues, high stakes leagues. Over the last 6 weeks, you got Jones as quarterback, 22, ADP of 172. Got to ask you about the running backs. And Harris is RB 28, Stevenson RB 39, and there's other backs on the squad like James White. They drafted a couple. They bring in DeVante Parker. All their wide receivers kind of going, in the bunch from 60 to 75. Right. Hunter Henry, who didn't catch a lot of balls, but every time he caught a ball, it seemed to be a touchdown. Jonnu Smith is not on this board because he didn't do a whole lot. I guess I'll just ask you about the backs. You prefer one or the other? Are they in that range with you? Because they are in that range where if you do target wide receivers, these guys made one of them, could be available to you. Do you prefer one or the other, or are they just a pass?
Well, Harris actually is one of my favorite guys to pick with this whole early wide receiver strategy I do, because I've gotten him in the 5th round. I've gotten him in the 6th round sometimes because people just are, not very enamored with Damien Harris. But Damien Harris is going to score touchdowns. He's going to have close to 1,000 yards rushing. This is his last year of his contract too, and the Patriots never give running back second contracts. It's just not what they do. It's not how they run their business. And if you want to back it up with Stevenson, he's one of the more, proven guys you could put out there. I mentioned Khalil Herbert and Madison before, but Stevenson to me is a guy that has a lot of potential, a lot of upside. So if anything should happen to Harris and you have Stevenson, I'm not saying you have to do the handcuff. You don't. I think Stevenson has value on his own. But I think Harris has more value than people realize because we mentioned it before. We were joking around. What are they going to do? They're going to run the football. They're going to play defense. That's what they do. And DeVante Parker, I think, is an interesting late round dart throw too. He's not going to play a full slate of games. He never does. But I think when he is in there, I think he is the best of this group of wide receivers. I was a guy that liked the Kendrick Bourne signing when it happened. I thought it was a good signing, actually. I liked what he had done in San Francisco. So, look, they don't have playmakers, right? That's the thing they don't have. They don't have that game-breaking alpha wide receiver. They don't have that big-time Jonathan Taylor running back. They don't have that. That's not who they are. So, from a fantasy perspective, they're not very sexy. What's good about that is they become cheap. And I think that, if you have the right matchups there, whether it's a deeper league and you're going to go with Parker or Bourne, I think they're worth rostering. Myers doesn't have a lot of touchdown appeal. He's just more of a possession guy. But even in deeper leagues too, Pierre Strong is a guy that I would watch carefully. Good college player, good speed. I know they drafted Tyquan Thornton too. We'll see if he gets involved in the offense. But look, I think it's Parker. I think it's Harris. And in Superflex leagues, I think you do worse than Mac Jones, to be honest. If Mac Jones ended up with more fantasy points than Tua Tagovailoa, it would not shock me.
No. And that would be, I think Miami fans would be extremely disappointed with that, considering the weapons that they do have. But yeah, Mac Jones kind of cooled off towards the end, but he had we can agree that he had the best rookie season among quarterbacks last year, right?
No,
and nobody was talking about him.
Without a doubt. And he was the 5th one taken, but he still had the best season. So,
yeah,
he was the right guy for that offense and the right fit. And there were times, I think, at the end last year where they should have been more aggressive and let him be more aggressive, and they were not. And I don't think that's going to happen in year 2. He's a very hardworking kid. I think they'll let him throw the ball downfield a little bit more this year, and that's a good thing. And I think, like I said, Parker helps, but it's still not what you want. And it's just puzzling to me in a draft full of game-changing wide receivers where they had chance after chance to take them that they just didn't.
No, I know. I was surprised with that as well. Probably not a playoff team, though. It's going to be really tough. AFC is so loaded.
It's going to be tough, especially because that West is so good. I think they're a 10-win team, though. I would take the over on the 8.5. I do think they're a 10-win team, but like you said, it's kind of difficult outside looking in. But there's going to be teams in transition too. Like the Pittsburgh Steelers we're always used to seeing in the playoffs. I don't know if they're a playoff team anymore.
I agree.
Not with that defense and offensive line and the change of quarterback. I think you're looking at the West beating up on each other. So do they beat up on each other to the point where it opens the door for a team like the Patriots? It might, but those Western teams are very good, and they've got 4 capable quarterbacks, and they've got, big time players over there. So it's really going to come down to, do the Baltimore Ravens get back on track? Do those teams that are always playoff teams kind of get back to where they usually are? Or do we have a fall off here for some of those teams? So that's where the door gets open for the Patriots potentially in the playoffs.